Thank you, Dave. Sharing economy websites like Uber and Airbnb have gained plenty of notoriety recently, but the concepts have been around much longer than the internet. But if you're looking to save money while traveling, there are plenty of ways to immerse yourself in local culture for less. They can be tricky to navigate, so we've enlisted the help of travel expert Russell Hannon, who is the author of Stop Dreaming and Start Traveling. He's here to help us through them. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with Uber, because this kind of came up, as we were talking about the sharing economy concept. So what are your thoughts on Uber launching in Calgary?
Well, you know what? Uber actually threatens the taxi industry to the same extent that Napster once threatened the music industry. And probably 5 years from now, when we fast forward, it's likely to change the industry from what it is today to something that's much more technologically savvy, GPS integrated, and if not, taxis are going to start losing market share, very similar to what happened to BlackBerry with the touchscreen telephones a while back.
Yeah, interesting. It will be an interesting journey, and we'll see how it does in Calgary. Obviously, very successful model in many other major markets, and you've used them in your travels. But we've got some websites that you've pulled for us that can help users for a better experience when traveling, and we're going to start off with Eatwith.com. What's this one?
Yeah, that's right. Well, one of the biggest trends in travel right now is actually food tourism, and I associate this with the Anthony Bourdain effect with all these television shows. So Eatwith is a website where actually you can get private home-cooked dining experiences in people's homes, and a lot of the people listing on this are actually chefs and cooks who are doing this on the side. So this is one way that you can immerse yourself, get to meet locals while you're traveling. And on this note, I noticed in Calgary there aren't currently any listings on this website. So if you have a talent in the kitchen, a gift for the gab, and a place that's worthy of hosting, actually you could probably profit from your passion, as I would say.
Interesting. So eating in, as we know, is always different than eating out. So eatwith.com if you're traveling. And now let's look at this other one that's called BookALook.
BookALocal.com. Now that's
That's
local with a K, actually, and this is where people are actually monetizing their hobbies, and you can find anything on this. I've seen photography lessons in Paris, kayaking excursions in New Zealand, even private guided tours of temples in Thailand, and even when you're at home as well, if you know something that would be of interest to tourists, for example, let's say you know all the Olympic facilities, you could have a listing where you offer tours of all the Olympic facilities in the area here.
Great. Okay, BookALocal.com. I thought that was a typo, but it's not. The K is on purpose. There it is. How about Spinlist?
It's actually a website where people rent out private bikes, surfboards, snowboards, and skis. So if you're planning to either bike, surf, or ski on your trip, this is an alternative to the run-of-the-mill rental companies. So basically, you can find better prices and alternatives that may better suit you. The more options you have, the more likely you are to find something better.
Yeah, that's great, especially if you don't want to travel with gear.
That's right. That's right, exactly. So that way you don't have to bring it with you.
Okay, cool. That's a great one. Spinlister.com and onto thevacationexchange.com.
Yeah, now this is for people who have a second home, whether it's a cottage or a cabin. The vacationexchange.com is an indirect exchange website, a little bit different than other traditional exchanges, where you can let exchange members stay in your second home while you aren't using it in return for credits you can later use to stay in the second homes of other exchange members.
Okay.
Now this goes back to 1997, and of the first 300 members, 150 of them, half of them, are still members today. So that really shows to the strength and the retention of people who are home exchange members.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of credibility there. Thevacationexchange.com. Last but not least, hittheroad.ca.
Yes, hittheroad.ca is a funny one, actually. On this website, you're going to find people looking for drivers to relocate their cars. So this time of year, actually, we have snowbirds who are going down south. A lot of them want to have their cars. Some of them don't want to drive that far down. So actually, with this website, they're looking for drivers. Some of them will pay you to bring their vehicle down. Others may not compensate you as much. But this is an option actually to go on a road trip and to help people bring their cars to where they need to have them.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Now, is there ever a safety concern with the use of these websites? How are these websites kind of monitored and implemented?
Well, you know what? The general rule of thumb is the private sharing or private services, which is really what the sharing economy is aren't generally as regulated and don't have government oversight and a lot of the consumer protection that big businesses have.
Right.
Hence, they're less expensive. So there are some complications with that. I recommend always using your discretion, careful judgment when using these. That said, I have seen these companies really do step up to bat when there are issues to really protect people using their websites.
Okay, do your research, and part of that is right here with your book, Stop Dreaming, Start Traveling. Always great tips. Thank you, Russell, for joining us this morning. Always great to have you. Get the gleam off there. And for more information, we're going to put those links up on our website, breakfasttelevision.ca. Thank you again for joining us. Always a pleasure.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.